First thing about this beautiful X Plus 25 centimeter Biollante is her size. She is a huge, massive shelf space taker, and you're going to want to make sure that you are prepared for this behemoth of a 25 centimeter. How large is she? Well, in length, she's 26.5 inches. In height, she's 15.5 inches. And in her width, she's another 16.5 inches.
Breaking news! Are you looking for the perfect accessory set to display with your brand new X Plus Biollante? Well, you're in luck. Thirsty Thursday Toys G-Cells and Rose Replica Set, 1989 version, is now on sale. These are perfectly sculpted and painted to match the movie props, and as a special bonus, the laminated name card is included. DM at Thirsty Thursday Toys on Instagram. The link is in the description to purchase your very own set of G-Cells.
The detail and paint on this figure is absolutely incredible. I cannot tell you how absolutely impressed I am as a guy who collected Bandai, and then I collected Safubi and Monsters and gigantic X Pluses. I would have never believed that a 25 centimeter would blow me away quite like this. The detail, paint, the sculpt is just impeccable. X Plus showing that no matter which kaiju it is, they are going to go all out, and this Biollante is absolutely one of the best figures in my collection. The highlights, the paint, and the sculpt are out of this world. The washes, the thorns that just decorate this figure is absolutely incredible because, well, of course, every rose has its thorns, right? Right. No. The belly sculpt on this figure is absolutely incredible. All these vines that are just growing over, trying to protect the innards of the character, or the acid spray sac, however you want to call it. The heart is kind of what I can more consider it to be, is just absolutely detailed. I love the fact that, just like the monster arts and other Biollantes, they included the neck vines there going across the jaw. It just adds a lot of depth and realism, creates a lot of shadows. It helps this figure look realistic, which is something it is really, really good at doing. This crocodilian head with the wash to bring out the lighter greens compared to the darker greens is just incredible. The Godzilla quote-unquote dorsal plates all the way down the back, which we'll look at more at, and it's just going around. One of my favorite things about this figure is how thick the body is, something that the Monster Arts figure didn't have. Now, she does have one piece of articulation, and that is the jaw, but I will warn you guys, it seems to be fragile. Some people's have broken in the past, so I definitely don't recommend messing with this too much, as it might snap, but it can close all the way and open all the way. Of course, when it's open all the way, you can see this mouth, which is just adorned in sharp razor teeth, although not as much as the suit. There's still plenty here to be impressed about, and I absolutely love it. Each tendril, and there are 5 on this figure, unlike a lot of Biollantes I noticed that only have 4, we have the attacking tentacle as well, are each individually and impressively detailed, and one of the best parts, all 5 are in different poses, so you don't kind of get the same like copy-paste feel that I feel like a lot of figures kind of do. You know, the Bandai figure has that vibe. The Monster Arts, I would say, even though it's posable, so that's up to you, at base kind of just a standard pose, it's really the same. But it's really, really impressively detailed. I'm absolutely impressed by this 5th one. Just the absolute detail, how it has a spiral, so it looks like it's aerodynamic, so it can pierce Godzilla even quicker, plugging in right into the body. And then each of the base tendrils at the body all the way down to the heads, which we'll look at each mouth/head a little bit later, are just completely detailed, packed to the bone with highlights and nice suit details. It kind of gives it this different vibe that just really is impressive. It gives you a mix of feeling like the suit, or I guess more the puppet, since it's more of a big puppet, and the actual creature, how it's supposed to look if it were to be real. And it's impressive. All the veins, which are more vines, even more thorns on her, because you know, she's thorny, okay? She's thorny. And even the details on the top parts of the mouth. There we kind of get a sneak peek at the light up function, which we'll look at a bit later. But it's just really refreshing to have these differently sculpted tentacles. It really, really is. I'm very, very happy with the positions. They do all kind of go up, but that's kind of to manage on space because, as we showed at the beginning of this review, she's very wide. And there ain't nothing wrong with that. But if she was any wider, I'd be in trouble in space. She wouldn't even fit on one of the gigantic shelves that are next to the review table, and that would be terrible. It's probably the reason why we're not going to be buying the Omega Beast or Spiral Studios Biollante, because I just don't have any damn space for it. On each of the heads or the mouths, they're individually sculpted. The teeth look pretty damn good, and inside the mouths just look gross. I kind of like it has a fleshy tone, but it looks really plant fleshy, and the vines, it kind of looks like the budding and leaves. It's just really, really impressive. And each tooth has a different paint app. It's just very, very unique. I'm very glad that they went all out for this release. Moving on to the back, as I said earlier, we're going to get a closer look at, and here it is. The quote-unquote dorsal plates on this figure are impressive, to say the least. I'm very, very pleased with how these look, whether it's the ones at the base here that kind of curl in almost like a defensive shell, or the ones that are closer to the top and here on the sides that are more frilling out, mostly like how Godzilla looks. It almost looks like once you get kind of past the turn in her spine to her neck, they almost look like a dog that's in a defensive position where their fur stands up in the back. It's a very unique look for her. Now on to accessories. Here's the hole that we plug the jack in for the light up. How do you power up this light up? It's through this box. This, I believe, says at least Toho Daikaiju series Biollante light up version or RIC version, one or the other, but it comes in this nice green case with some switches. This takes 4 AAA batteries, which is pretty expensive because now all the rest are as well. Now, this plugs in pretty easily, but of course, as I've said with past light ups, and I'll say with future ones, don't just think it's in after the low thud. You have to do it to the high click. Once the click is in, it's turned on. Now there's 3 options to light up on this figure, and on 1, off, and on 2. So let's look at on 1 first and see the differences. Here's a close-up shot. When you turn it on, she'll brighten up, and then she'll slowly pulse in and out, and it's an absolute wonderful mechanic. I do believe this was advertised, though I've noticed a lot of these pulsing or charge up light ups on these figures aren't advertised, but this is an absolute beautiful aesthetic, and then you put it in the dark and it's wonderful looking. I'm completely impressed by this. This is my favorite light up option to have on. Here we're going to look at light up number 2, which unsurprisingly is just a flat turn on. It just stays on. It's bright. There's no color differences. It's just on and bright. Once again, it's a very nice option for photos, because now if you want it at the peak of its brightness, boom, flick it. This is option, take the photo, and you're good to go. Here it is with the lights off. Very, very illuminating. It's just a beautiful light up. Let's take a second and look at some size comparisons. Starting off with the Marusan 350 Godzilla, 1989. This is the only in-scale 89 in my collection, as I don't plan on getting the 25cm Godzilla. Here it is with the Mondo Biollante, and as you can see, the Mondo is a pretty big figure, but the X Plus just completely dwarfs it. Here it is with the SH Monster Arts -1 Goji, which is completely out of scale, but if you want a really, really big Biollante, this might work for you. Of course, finally, we have to look at the X Plus Defa-Real X Gigantic series, Godzilla 54, that also came out last year, and this is actually a pretty interesting spot-on scale comparison. For my final thoughts, I absolutely do recommend picking up this Biollante sooner rather than later, as this is one of the most desired X Plus figures, period. She's already pretty expensive at retail, so the aftermarket is not going to be nice. I'm going to give this figure a damn fine 9 out of 10. She's a shelf hog, super detailed, and the light up functions of each option are absolutely impressive, and I absolutely adore displaying them on. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, comment down below, and consider subscribing if you haven't already. I thank you all for the support. As I always say at the end of these videos, peace, rock on, stay safe. Remember to go to Collect All Monster Collectors on Facebook. Join the discussion with 2,000 plus other wonderful Tokusatsu collectors and fans. And go down to the description below to follow my friends in their various projects, whether that be a YouTube that's starting up soon, or a website like KaijuUnited, or an Instagram. And I'll see you guys in the very next video.